Guys, I got to be perfectly honest with all of you. I think I have the worst timing in the world with everything here that's involving around this breaking news with the Philadelphia Eagles. And I probably should get into the breaking news right away here before I explain my terrible timing and all that stuff. So, breaking news. The Philadelphia Eagles, they have their new offensive coordinator. They promote with in-house. They promote their passing game coordinator and assistant head coach, Kevin Patullo, to the offensive coordinator role. And I think that was probably the worst kept secret at this point, because I think that's what everybody expected to be the case. And it's really going back towards, through the entire playoff run where, Kellen Moore is getting interviews with the New Orleans Saints. And we all knew that was the worst kept secret at the world, where he was going to take the New Orleans Saints head coaching position, even though I still think at the end of the day for Kellen Moore, that probably wasn't the best idea for him, because I think there could have been better opportunities if he just waited a year. But it is what it is. If you got to go get that bag, I can respect it there. So it is what it is. You really can't judge him for taking that position. But also at the same time, still, it was kind of expected that Kevin Patullo would be the offensive coordinator, because also you got to go in mind here, the Eagles definitely were behind the 8 ball. They're going deep into the playoffs. They're going to Super Bowl 59. They're winning Super Bowl 59 in regards to a lot of the other teams in the NFL that are already losing their coordinators, that are in the process of interviewing coordinators and hiring their new coordinators. The Eagles were going to be behind the 8 ball the entire time, and it kind of does make sense at the end of the day that they would hire and promote within their own organization for a person that's probably been here around a very long time, especially ever since Nick Sirianni got here, and has been Nick Sirianni's right-hand guy for a very long time with the Eagles. So it does make sense there at the end of the day. And I do understand why some Eagles fans probably would have PTSD and probably don't like the idea of promoting within house, especially with the whole Brian Johnson debacle a couple of seasons ago and how terrible that offense was. So there definitely is a lot of question marks surrounding it, but I don't hate it at the same time, because it does just make sense, because realistically, Patullo has been here for a while, and if you're just basically running the same exact offense that Kellen Moore was doing last season and maybe just implementing something a little bit different into those schemes, you're probably looking at the same exact offense going into next season. So I'm not really going to be overly concerned until I see everything that's going to be playing on the field next year. So there's really, for me right now, no reason to overreact, no reason to panic, because I don't think there should be a reason to panic right now. But I do think some people will find a way to panic, because that's just the way some Eagles fans are. So, getting into, or before we get into the rest of the things and also explaining my bad timing and everything here, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTP Sports. If you are new to the channel, I definitely recommend that you do hit that subscribe button. It would do me such a great deal of service. You can also drop a like. You can also leave a comment in the comment section down below. I love to interact with you guys down there. You can also use the code TTP Sports, $20 off your first purchase at SEATGEEK. Great deal. Do not pass it up. Use it for anything you can think of. Concerts, sporting events, especially that baseball season is coming back. It's a great deal. Don't pass it up. You can also leave a follow at TTP Sports on TikTok and Instagram for reels and shorts and all of that great stuff, especially having some shorts here and talking about shorts. So this is really getting into the bad timing aspect out of all of this stuff. So obviously I do editing for Brodes, and I also do editing now for Russ Joy, for the Russ Joy Show, Snow the Goalie, all that stuff. So Russ, he had his show this morning, 8:30 AM on the Russ Joy Show on YouTube. Definitely go check it out. It's a great timing there. So obviously his show rundown, he goes through his thoughts of what the Eagles, talking about what their next offensive coordinator should be, blah, 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 blah. And obviously when I go to prepare, do all the editing and stuff, I cut everything out, get the clips, get the shorts, and have everything prepared to be uploaded to TikTok Shorts. Oh, TikTok, YouTube, Shorts, Reels, and everything, everywhere else that they get posted at. And as soon as I get everything posted, as soon as I get everything scheduled, and of course, during that process, TikTok was down, so that was also aggravating. But as soon as everything is scheduled, boom, I see a post on Twitter from the Eagles Twitter that they officially promoted Kevin Patullo to the offensive coordinator job. I'm just like, oh, come on. I just posted all this stuff. Now you're going to make a hire? Because it basically renders all the shorts that I made about the Eagles OC for us completely irrelevant. They don't matter. It's so frustrating. That is so frustrating. And now we got to go over the decisions possibly to even delete those shorts, because they're irrelevant at the end of the day, because you're talking about a topic that has already been filled. That is such bad timing, and I hate that. It's such terrible, terrible, terrible timing. It is so frustrating. So I'm probably more annoyed at that aspect rather than just the general hire at all. Man, man, oh man, oh man. But that's sometimes the risks you run when you're a content creator. Sometimes you make content before the news actually happens. And sometimes you get screwed over by that fact. And definitely, me and Russ got screwed over by that fact today with the Eagles. Thanks. Thanks a bunch. But getting back on the topic at hand. So Kevin Patullo is now the official Eagles OC. Like I said, I think a lot of the people, and I think a lot of the annoyance and a lot of the people that are probably going to be complaining about this hire is really just the PTSD aspect from Brian Johnson and, you know, the collapse, the 10-1 start collapse, all of that stuff from the 2023 season, which is very understandable at the end of the day. And I'll definitely go over what I probably prefer, even though I'm probably the last person that you should be talking about when it comes to hiring offensive coordinators, because I'd be like, I have no fucking clue what I'm even talking about here. So it really doesn't matter what I think. Really, you just got to trust Howie Roseman. You just got to trust Nick Sirianni. You just got to trust this entire process that they made the right call. And it really, like I said, if it goes to the entire fact that Kevin Patullo has been here for a very long time, and, you know, ever since Nick Sirianni got here, he's been Nick Sirianni's right-hand guy, and you're looking at, you know, going through a bunch of different coordinators, a bunch of different play callers and everything like that. And you find very great success this past season with Kellen Moore, and especially the offense got better and better and better as the season went along. Granted, we still had some complaints about the passing game and everything that went on with those aspects, but still, the offense was getting better week after week. The entire team was just getting better week after week, which led to you winning Super Bowl 59 and getting another Lombardi for your franchise. So if you're just looking at the entire aspect, and also the offense, Kellen Moore probably had his two best called games of the season in the NFC Championship game and in the Super Bowl. So if we're just looking at this entire process here, because I'm sure Kevin Patullo also worked side by side with Kellen Moore and the play calling and all that stuff, so I'm sure there's a lot of similarities there with the play design, with the schematics, everything in those factors. So if you're just looking at the 2025 season and the way that the offense might be ran, I'm probably not going to expect anything else to be different. I still expect this team to be dominant within the trenches offensively. The offensive line is still going to be insanely good. You're still going to have Saquon Barkley behind this offensive line, which is, you know, him coming off of a historic season. Now, is there probably going to be a little bit of a drop-off from Saquon Barkley? Is he going to have another 2,000-yard type of season? Maybe, if he's behind this offensive line, because that's just how good Saquon is. And, you know, really, you're just looking at it, is the passing game going to improve a little bit if you're going into next season? And like I said, with Kellen Moore calling his best two games during the NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl, and if you're probably just implementing the same exact game plan into next year, I don't think we're going to be seeing that many changes. Realistically, you're probably just looking to see some more improvements in the passing game, and I think that's really the only thing that you should expect. The offensive line game is still going to be the same. The running game is still going to be the exact same way, with Saquon, with Jalen Hurts checking at the line of scrimmage to change the play up, to try to open some holes for the offensive line and Saquon Barkley. And realistically, you're just finding ways to get A.J. Brown involved more, to get Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, all the receivers involved more. So, and maybe just get a little bit more creative on the passing side. But like I said, I really do not expect any major differences from Kellen Moore into Kevin Patullo, because I really just feel like the entirety of the situation, because I do think Kellen Moore, at the end of the day, he implemented what he, you know, his schemes, his philosophies into Nick Sirianni's style of offense, and he found a way to mesh those together. And basically, you're probably going to be working with the same exact thing here with Kevin Patullo. I don't expect him to make anything drastically different. Now, I definitely can be proven wrong, and this could be another Brian Johnson situation where the offense is just so bland, so blah, so vanilla, to where you're just trying to chuck deep balls every single play and you just completely ignore the run, which I don't think that's going to be the factor, especially with the way that Saquon performed this year. They're 100% not going to ignore the run, because that's how this team was so successful into helping them win a Super Bowl. I just don't expect that happening at the end of the day. So it's realistically, you're just looking to see how much they can improve the passing game going into next year, and really just constantly just keeping the same ideas and philosophies that Kellen Moore brought into Nick Sirianni's playbook. And either Kevin Patullo can bring his own philosophies in, tweak some things, or just keep everything the same and just work off and just build off of those strengths and find a way to maybe improve some of the weaknesses that you saw in Kellen Moore's offense, and maybe find a ways to make those better. So there definitely could be some things there. And like I said, overall with this hire, I don't have that big of an issue with the hire, because it goes back to, you had such a deep playoff run. You were behind the 8 ball because other teams were also prioritizing getting new coordinators, losing some coordinators, and everything like that. Interviewing processes were going on for a very long time. And especially since you're the team that goes to a Super Bowl and wins the Super Bowl, you're going to be behind a lot in those hiring processes, because that's not your first and foremost focus. You're going to be focused on winning a Super Bowl. You're focused on winning the playoffs. You're trying to get a Lombardi trophy. So you're not really worried at the end of the day on what's going to happen with your coordinators. So you're not focused on who you're going to hire next. You're not focused on the coordinators that are leaving. You're trying to win. So you're going to be behind the 8 ball there. So really, I wasn't shocked that they just promoted from within house. So that's the least shocking thing at the end of the day. But, just a little bit of an opinion here. But and I think that this can definitely be a little bit similar to maybe some other Eagles fans' opinions on the entire situation, that maybe if you were looking at the offensive coordinator position, maybe you went into a different direction. And I would say a different direction, but it was realistically, I think this is the way that it was going to happen. It was either going to be Kevin Patullo in-house, or they were going to go after some type of another Kellen Moore type, another person that has had interest in head coaching positions in the past, has been an offensive coordinator for a little bit in the NFL, maybe is not just ready for an NFL head coach position yet. Maybe he comes to the Eagles, he finds some success here, he gets more offers to be a head coach, and that would be his ticket to getting a head coaching gig in the NFL. That's probably the two directions that I would expect this team to go. I wouldn't have seen them going after another, very long pro at the offensive coordinator position, that, a guy that is probably not going to be a head coach. He's been an offensive coordinator basically his entire career. It's really like comparing, you're finding the Vic Fangio of offensive coordinators. Some people brought up the idea of bringing back Frank Reich, and I was like, not that really big of the idea of that aspect there. Obviously some people brought up Doug Peterson too, which was actually kind of hilarious, but I really didn't expect them to go that route, finding their version of Vic Fangio on the offensive side of the ball. I don't think that was going to happen. It was either going to be within house, or they were just going to hire another Kellen Moore type. So, like I said, would I have preferred them going after another experienced coordinator? Probably, because obviously, still, when I bring up the PTSD with the Brian Johnson situation, obviously that's going to realm in the back of Eagles fans' minds, so it's really understandable there at the end of the day why I would be a little bit skeptical about hiring some people in-house. But like I said many times, I'm going to have the faith of Howie Roseman. I'm going to have the faith of Nick Sirianni, have the faith of Jeffrey Lurie to make the right decisions. And Howie Roseman, he has made the right decisions in the past by bringing in Vic Fangio, by bringing in Kellen Moore. So I'm sure this is a Howie Roseman type of situation. And really the only thing that I would be concerned about is just how Jalen Hurts feels about this entire situation, even though I think Jalen Hurts has matured way more, going through the process of this year. And, the whole, connection with him and Brian Johnson, one of the reasons why Brian Johnson even became the offensive coordinator for the Eagles in 2023, because of how, basically tight him and Jalen Hurts were together. A lot of that went the wayside, and, Brian Johnson gets fired. Jalen Hurts wasn't happy. And maybe now Jalen just understands that you have to trust and have faith in your head coach and faith in your front office to hire the right guys. And hopefully that could be the case. And Jalen Hurts understands he definitely sacrificed a lot from last year when, trying to adapt the offense into a way that's going to help this team put them in a better position to win football games. And Jalen Hurts did that with the best of his ability. And that's why the team got so better after the bye week and why they just won and won and won and won and won. And Jalen Hurts stepping up in the biggest position possible on the biggest stage possible definitely helps those factors. So I think at the end of the day, Jalen Hurts is not going to be too annoyed, but there definitely is something that kind of makes me wonder a little bit how Jalen Hurts truly feels about Kevin Patullo. And I think this was from Locker Cleanout Day after the Super Bowl, and Jalen Hurts obviously was asked the question about the possibility of Patullo being the next offensive coordinator for the Eagles. So I have this clip right here. This is from Eagles Nation. They actually just posted this video directly after Patullo got hired, but I think this was posted on Locker Room Cleanout Day. So definitely want to hear, because it definitely makes me think a little bit with the way that Jalen Hurts maybe goes through this. He kind of second guesses himself, or he's trying to save face with the way that he answers. I'll play it right now just so you guys can maybe understand what I'm thinking about right here.
Yeah. Kevin Patullo's never been a. I mean, he'd have a different role, so it's hard to compare, that role to this role, because his job is going to demand something totally different of him, and I have a lot of confidence in him and what he's shown. However, I know, over the years I've learned that's out of my jurisdiction, and so kind of just taking things as they come and trying to go out there and be the best I can be and just learn and evolve.
And yeah, that's a standard Jalen Hurts type of answer, throwing his confidence in the way of a possible new hire for the Eagles, especially a guy that's within house. But it also does stand out to the fact that, Kevin Patullo has never been a play caller before. So it's definitely going to be a drastic difference from being a passing game coordinator and an assistant head coach to being the guy that's going to be calling the plays, while Nick Sirianni is in the head coach CEO role and Vic Fangio calls the defensive plays. So yeah, it's definitely a huge drastic difference, but it's also nice hearing that your quarterback tries to show some confidence, but it also kind of sounds like he's saving face at the same time. He's like, oh, he's never called plays before, blah 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 blah, but also I have all the utmost confidence in him and all that stuff. But also the one thing that does stand out to me as well, where it's Jalen Hurts saying it's not in his jurisdiction to make those decisions, and he's just going to improve and evolve, wherever he goes. So I think maybe that Jalen Hurts really did not have a say in this entire hiring process. Probably maybe it has something to do with the whole Brian Johnson situation, and I think Jalen Hurts does deep down understand it at the end of the day, but it definitely just, it's something that stands out to me. That's really just it. And I'm not really trying to make this seem like it's a bad thing. I think, at the end of the day, Jalen Hurts does, I think overall he's probably fine with it. But would he have preferred maybe going out there and getting another Kellen Moore type? Maybe that could have been the case. But you really can't control anything at the end of the day. And maybe that, I just don't know. I don't know. Like I said, this is a thing where you probably really can't judge this on face value right as the hiring happens. And you just got to wait and see how this thing plays out realistically, because we don't know what it's going to look like. We don't know how Kevin Patullo is going to adapt any offensive philosophies, if he has his own offensive philosophies, or if this is just going to be the same exact thing that Kellen Moore ran with just a little bit of tweaks involved in it, maybe to get the passing game going a little more, and you really just stick to the same guidelines of really running the rock and dominating with the offensive line and Saquon Barkley in that rushing attack. Same thing with Jalen Hurts' legs. So there's a lot of things that you could think about with this, and there's a lot of things that go into this entire situation, but you really cannot find a way to really critique this and really deep dive probably into this hire until you see something that maybe stands out to you, whether that's in training camp, whether that's preseason, or whether that's, going into the 2025 season, because we're still a very long ways away from that. So it's going to take some time. And obviously, there'll be people that are having the hot take reactions. There'll be people that probably really like the move. There'll be people that probably really hate the move. But I think we're just at the point right now where we really just can't fully judge the idea. So overall, I think it's a fine hire. I think it's a solid hire. Would I have gone in a different direction and maybe hired another Kellen Moore type? Yeah, I probably would have preferred that direction, getting somebody with more experience. But also, this could also be a blessing in disguise. This can also be a very fantastic hire. But this also has a chance to be another bad hire So you really can't judge it until you see it in action. And that's really all we can do there at the end of the day. So it's really my 2 cents on the entire situation. And we do have some voicemails, and I do want to see if there's anything else on the Twitterverse just to see if there's any other people that do have their thoughts on the entire situation. Obviously, I think some people are just going to say they don't have the biggest love for it. And I think that a lot of that does have to go in the fact with them with the Brian Johnson situation. So here's Zach Berman. He has the quote from Jalen Hurts last week. Then Zach Berman has obviously just quote tweeted this thing and saying that I wouldn't read into this statement as a lukewarm endorsement. There was a strong sense in the building, as we discussed for 2 weeks, that Kevin Patullo was the expected internal promotion. Hurts, as is often the case, didn't want to address something before it was materialized. That process, as he noted, is out of his jurisdiction, but Patullo has seen every step of Hurts' development during the past 4 years, and Hurts has seen Patullo's development in the building too. The Eagles value continuity, and Hurts value continuity. So maybe this is something that these guys are just really familiar with, and maybe it could be something that's really good for them. Like I said, I have no idea. You just got to really wait and see how everything plays out, and that's really all we can do at this point. So let's get to the Anytime Hotline. We do have a couple of voicemails here. We got one from Sean. We got one from Mist. So let's go to Mist first. Let's see what he has to say on the Kevin Patullo hiring.
Amadeo, what's up? It's Mist. Hey man, this OC hire, I'm cool with it, you know? Like, I'm not super emotional about it one way or the other. Guy's been around, you know, has worked with Jalen a bunch, and I know that people are going to be quick to tie it to the Brian Johnson kind of debacle, but yeah, I think people forget history and forget, like, what that season was. I don't think he was a huge problem. I think that whole situation was blowing up. I don't think he even really got a fair shake at it. But, you know, even if it was a problem, different guy, different situation, different, you know, relationship with the team. And I've also been hoping as we've moved forward here and looked at how this season kind of ended, that Jalen would get a bigger voice in the room, move this a little bit more into his offense. I mean, how often are we talking about him making checks at the line and changing things that end up, you know, becoming huge plays? And maybe he's got a little bit more say into what the game plan is, you know, and I'm good with that. So, you know, we'll see. It is what it is. Look, I mean, we won the fucking Super Bowl. We didn't have our chance to go grab the top guy, you know, as soon as the season was over. Yeah, and I don't think Frank Reich would have been a good idea either. But regardless, hey, we'll see, man, and go Birds.
Yeah, I do agree with the Frank Reich statement. I don't think that would have been a good hire. But yeah, maybe there's also a case where maybe this is a Jalen Hurts endorsement, and maybe this is a situation where Jalen Hurts can have more say in the way that the offense is ran. So yeah, it's something that I keep saying this throughout the entire pod. It's something that you really can't judge until you see it in face action. So it's really nothing that we can really too much panic about. Obviously, like I said, people are going to give their opinions. People are going to share their frustrations probably, but that's all you can do at the end of the day until you see something in action. And I'm going to stay, you know, I'm not going to judge it because I am not in the right, you know, the right quality of mind and the quality to judge this entire thing until I just see something that happens. So, yeah, I think that's the right way to think about it, but I'm not the average Eagles fan. So we'll see. Let's get to Sean. Let's see what Sean has to say about this.
Well, I don't know about you, Amadeo, but I'm totally shocked and blindsided by this Kevin Patullo news. Who'd have thought? I mean, didn't the Eagles tell us that they were going to do an extensive, thorough search? You know, that this was the worst kept secret. I mean, I think we all knew that this was going to be the way this turned out. And I know people are concerned, and they have right to be apprehensive with decisions like this from the past, but I'm the type of person, look, I give anybody a chance. I'm not going to say the guy is going to be a failure without giving him the chance to succeed. I mean, Lord knows he's got talent to work with. I mean, he should not screw it up. I mean, you know, they've got to enhance the passing game next year. they do have to take a little bit of pressure off of Saquon Barkley. He can't be toting the rock as much as he did this year. But again, the cupboard's not there at the skill positions here. You've got the receivers, the tight end, the O-line, the running back, the quarterback. I mean, it should be an easy succeeding time for Patullo. We'll see what he does. But bigger fish to fry, of course, is the free agency. Who's staying, who's going. I guess that'll be the next shoe to drop.
Yeah, that most likely is going to be the case.
Well, I don't know.
Sorry about that. But I think, yeah, overall, going with this entire hire, like Sean said, it was probably the worst kept secret in the world. I think everybody at the end of the day knew this was going to be the case. And I really do think at the end of the day, it's just mainly what we see changes in the offense is it's probably still going to be the same system that we saw this year with the way Kellen Moore ran Nick Sirianni's philosophies, just with, some aspects of Kellen Moore and then some aspects of what Kevin Patullo's mindset's going to be. That's what I really see this entire thing going out as. But like I keep saying, I don't have a right to judge until we see something in action, whether that's training camp, whether that's preseason, whether that's the regular season. So really, and that is so far away because got to worry about free agency, who the Eagles are probably bringing back and who they're probably losing, and you focus on the draft, and then eventually you get in the training camp, but that's, like I said, that's still a long ways away. So overall with the hire, not shocked by it, and like what Sean said, I'm willing to give Kevin Patullo a chance, but I also understand why people would probably be a little bit skeptical at the same time, so we're just going to have to see how this plays out. I'm confident with the talent on this roster and with the way that they performed last year that they can keep it up. So I really don't have any concerns about that aspect, but we'll see. We'll definitely see. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in as always. So I want to hear your thoughts on this hire and what you think about Kevin Patullo being the next OC of the Philadelphia Eagles. So don't forget to leave your comments in the comment section down below. Don't forget to drop a like and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Does me a great deal of service with the YouTube algorithm. Also, you can use the code TTPSPORTS, $20 off your first purchase at SEATGEEK, and also follow me over at TTPSPORTS on TikTok and Instagram for reels and shorts and all that good stuff. So appreciate you guys for tuning in today, and I will see you next time.